And you know where he hid it? And why do we have to wait a week?
Oh, perhaps not a whole week.
And why, if I may ask another question, are you willing to sell it to me?
Because I'm afraid. After what happened to Floyd, I'm afraid to touch it except to turn it over to somebody else.
What exactly did happen to Floyd?
The fat man.
Fat man. Is he here?
I don't know. I suppose so. What difference does it make?
Might make a world of difference.
Or you, or me.
Precisely, but shall we add more certainly the boy outside?
Yes. But you might be able to get around him, Joel, as you did the one in Istanbul. What was his name?
You mean the one you couldn't get to come to? This is the second time that you have laid hands on me.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
Welcome to Flyby Films. I'm Blake Collier, and with me tonight is my co-host and friend, Jamison Barsotti.
Hi, Blake.
We are... I didn't say you could say hi.
Oh, sorry.
I'm introing here, bud.
Well, you said my name. I thought that was, I don't know.
No. You don't understand. I'm introing. That means you're silent.
Okay. I will wait for the Blake signal.
Which is what? What did we
Uh,
discuss it was?
you were going to flap your hands like a bird,
That is
and
exactly correct. Now,
yeah.
shut up.
Okay, I'll wait.
So, yes, with me tonight is Jamison Barsotti. We are a low-key, low-effort film podcast. Now, we like to joke a lot that we created mumblecore podcasting. It's kind of a joke because the big thing about mumblecore filmmaking is that all the mumblecore artists reject the term, and so that was the big joke. We're mumble podcasting, but we reject the term. But we're probably going to change that because it's really kind of stupid. Anyways. But yeah, we're low effort, and we aren't paid off by the people who pay off regular movie critics. So we tell it like it is, because we talk about film here. We talk about all the best and all the worst, because we are all about encompassing the totality of film. So every week, we go back and forth. Normally, on our normal episodes, we pick a film that the other co-host doesn't know about, and we surprise them, and they have to watch it, and then they usually have to read something or listen to something or like basically get into kind of the nitty-gritty of some idea from the movie, and then we get on the podcast and discuss it. And then the next week, the other person picks the movie, and so forth and so on. But whenever we have a guest, which we will this year, we're going to give them the ability to pick the movie for us, because that is the gentlemanly thing to do. And folks, chivalry has not died on Flyby Films, has died everywhere else, not here. So, Jamison.
Yeah, Blake, I think we discussed a new way of describing our podcast, and my suggestion was instead of the inventors of mumblecore podcasting, it was an audio recording. Uh, I
Do I
can't
need to pull up
remember.
the text?
Oh, I forget the text, but it's like an audio recording that's actually just two dinguses dressed up in trench coat flavored podcast, something like that. Yeah, I butchered whatever it was. I actually spent like 5 minutes working on what's the best way to say this, and now I forget.
A low effort audio recording of two friends talking about movies, dressed up in a podcast shaped trench coat. You
Oh,
see?
you see? Yeah,
That was
yeah.
my addition.
No, it was a good addition. Especially, it has a good audio quality to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, but yeah, that's what we are. We're just a low effort audio recording dressed up like a podcast. You know,
Yeah.
the
We're
the
actually
Vin,
just two friends talking about movies.
yeah, the Vincent Adult Man of podcasting.
Yep. Two
Um,
dads. Two dads just shooting the shit about films.
that is a weird title to get used to. This is only my second episode where I've been a dad, so you know. I was a pre-dad for all of the episodes, but now I'm a dad for real.
Yeah. Yeah, your daddom was in the preterm when
Yeah,
we started this.
it was still baking in the oven,
Yep.
like
Yep.
like my son Hazel. Um, how's your son doing?
Oh, he's good. He's good. He's got a little bit of a temper these days. That's fun. Apparently, there is a something to terrible twos. We're trying to figure out habits and trying to get him into a normal kind of habit of living from day to day. So hopefully, kind of find some way to not control his tantrums because that's not healthy. That's part of their growth,
Hmm.
but to give him some security and safety and all that good stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's fun,
yeah.
blast,
No,
absolute
I'm
joy.
uh that that sounds very joyful. Sounds hard, but joyful. My son is just now starting to look at us, so I mean he has been for like the past week and a half or something like that.
That's a
But
good feeling.
yeah, just now starting to look at us, smile at us.
Has he
He
giggled yet?
he he makes these exasperated coos that sound kind of like giggles. Um, and that's pretty fun. But the best is when he's about to fall asleep and he has these very creepy sleep smiles, and he gets like his eyes roll back in his head and he has this big grin. It's
Yeah,
super weird, super weird.
Seamus's eyelids never quite completely closed when he was that age, and
Yeah,
so you'd always see the whites of his eyes as his like irises would go up in his head. It was terrifying,
terrifying,
absolutely
absolutely.
terrifying.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
The real
So,
question, though, Jameson, are you getting sleep?
you
And
know,
I guess I'm gonna put that to the side, and really the most important thing is Kira getting sleep.
yeah, Kira is getting sleep. Kira's always been better about like being able to fit in naps and things like that. I'm
Gotcha.
getting better at that. We are both getting some sleep, not enough sleep.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's,
Yeah.
you know, the thing, but we're both getting some sleep. Um, right now, how we kind of have the night partitioned is that like from like 10 to 2 is like my on-call time, and then from 2 to 6 that's when she's on call. And so
Gotcha.
uh, we try to do that, and it works out because Hazel is actually taking a bottle from me, though that's been its own journey
Oh yeah.
because you know, I mean, I get it. No one likes synthetic nipples. No one,
No,
dude.
no one
You know.
does.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But you know, we try. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
anything synthetic is not good.
No, no. But yeah, I think Hazel's been really good. He's growing like a weed, and um, we love him to pieces. So
Beautiful.
yeah. This is you know, I was like, there's a lot of dad talk tonight, but I think
That's okay.
I think it's actually perfectly fitting
Oh
for
yeah,
something that's going to come up later. But we'll
yeah.
get into that later. I did have a question for you.
Okay.
Um, uh, I have been reading in the news about how we are closer to doomsday. Like they've moved the doomsday clock up
Okay.
closer to midnight than it has been in history. And my question to you, Blake, is do you find this information helpful at all?
Well, I mean, I suppose I'll lay my cards down and say, well, as a practicing devout Christian, I say, "Come, Lord Jesus, come."
Okay, okay, okay.
But at the same time, do I want to give up this life? No, not really. uh, man, helpful. I think it. That's in the eye of the beholder. No, who am I kidding? It's not helpful. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's stupid, and the whole concept of a doomsday clock is stupid because our existential dread as a people nowadays is off the charts. Anyways, we don't need an added extra doomsday clock on top of that, and so like I don't know, it just seems pointless.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that today. I was trying to like give some grace to this idea because my father-in-law was over and he was he brought it up in conversation and I kind of gave my like it's completely unscientific crock.
Yeah,
But like,
exactly.
but he was like, very smart people put it together and stuff like that. And I just kind of
Yeah,
stared back at him. I was like, okay, what? And I love my father-in-law and I respect him, so I'm not trying to shit on his view of
yeah,
this too. And so I was actually trying to like give it a little bit of some grace where I was like, okay, it started back Cold War era, and maybe at that point it was useful because, and I was thinking, we didn't have the internet at that time. It was, there was threat of nuclear war, and you need, you know, you need something in the zeitgeist to tell people to like maybe get a to go bag packed in case you need to go, and stuff like that.
hmm,
I think maybe the framing is a little bit different than that. It's just saying you're gonna die, like this is
yeah,
doomsday. But perhaps the goal was something like that. Okay. So
yeah,
maybe at one point it was helpful. I'm actually not 100% convinced of that, but let's just say that was maybe an intended purpose of it. However, as you said today, our existential dread is off the chart,
yeah.
and we have the internet and we have social media where not only is our existential dread off the chart, but our neighbor's existential dread filtering into our lives is off the
Hmm.
chart.
Yeah.
And so on and so on and so on. We
Hmm.
don't we don't need smarty pants, you know, Nobel laureates to tell us the world is on the brink of collapse. We already think that. We already believe. I mean, whether or not we believe it's going to happen tomorrow, them saying it is just adding to the noise. It
Yeah.
doesn't, anyway. And so I was just thinking this is, very unscientific. It isn't really helpful. And I guess too like not only is like the movement of it not rhythmic, so it breaks with time in that way.
Hmm.
They've had to move it back before. So the analogy completely
Yeah.
breaks down. What is time but forward progressing rhythm? That's it.
Hmm.
Like, you constant forward progressing rhythm, and you can't, like, if you're gonna do that, then just retire the analogy and do something else.
There's plenty of options.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
actually, there's. Have you heard of the idea of Kali Yuga?
Mm.
So it's a Hindu concept. And this will be super simplistic, but basically there's like four historical cycles of time that happen, and the fourth cycle, at the end of that cycle, like it's like the time of darkness and chaos,
Hmm.
and grief and sadness and all. Like it basically, like the shit hits the fan at the end,
Yeah.
but in their idea, like it always gets worse, and then when it like the world just collapses, but then it renews, and so
Mm.
the four cycles start once again. But it like there's like elements of the past worlds or cycles that carry forward, but
Mm.
not everyone's aware of what carries forward and what doesn't. So the interesting about the thing about this that I find interesting is to tie it into like the doomsday idea, is that a lot of people that hold to this view think that we're in the final cycle, towards the end of that cycle. We're in
Mm.
the, I think it's the year of Kali Yuga. Um, and so, or not the year, but like the cycle of
The
Kali Yuga,
era, yeah, or something.
era, whatever. And some of the people I've read say that one of the signs of us being in this space is not only like, you know, chaos and dissension and all these like human things, but it's actually increase in like weird paranormal shit.
Mm.
Like all the like the veil like rips wider open, and you
Hmm.
start seeing stuff that you denied all those other for the rest of the other cycles, and it just like it veers towards a like cosmic collapse basically.
Yeah.
um so it's an interesting idea. I don't necessarily believe it, but I find it kind of fascinating. um but I think that's more beneficial than than a doomsday clock.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's so interesting. I find that interesting too. Like, I'm a very skeptical person of paranormal stuff, but there's still something neat about that, where I find that I get so wrapped up in certain things, in certain frameworks that are completely, man-made, and sometimes they're the dominant power and the dominant force and the dominant idea or ideal, and you get so wrapped up in them that when they start to crash, you think that the world is ending. You feel like something, you're never going to get this thing back. And a lot of times, like, there's things underneath that have been kind of bubbling along the way that
mhm.
maybe you feel threatened by or something like that. But these are the things that kind of like kind of flow past and continue to thrive past that. I guess, like, culturally, I'm thinking of, some of our general institutions. I don't know, like, the one that comes to mind is like gender and stuff. It's how we idealize, like, you know a vision of maleness and a vision of femaleness,
Yep.
and never the two shall meet, and there's this, it's true, there might be some, like, bimodalness to how, like, sex is distributed and
Yeah.
stuff, but uh, but still, like, I think we've latched on to a lot of ideals and definitions of these things that aren't necessarily going to last throughout history. And
Yeah.
then when we see other ideas that might have more legs right now than the older
Hmm.
ideas, we get threatened and scared of these things. So,
Yep.
but maybe that's just Cuyahoga in action.
Yeah, it's like Kali and then Yuga, I believe.
I feel like I've heard this term, and it might be because there's some metal band named after it. I wouldn't.
So I did happen across a ambient metal band not too long ago that had a song or an album named that,
Hmm.
uh, which I had never heard of it until I started reading this one guy. I ended up not reading him anymore because he's a little crazy, but I was, but in the moment he's a big like Kali Yuga fan, and I was like, okay, oh, it's interesting at least.
Yeah.
There's stuff to be gleaned from it, but
Yeah.
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 So
Cool.
yeah, Doomsday Clock. I'm gonna give that a big thumbs down.
Yeah. Good. Me too. Double thumbs down with
Double
Doomsday.
thumbs down.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I also wanted to bring up. Uh, we had we had an interesting conversation about some actors over the past couple
Oh
of weeks.
yes.
Um,
Do we want to give the context around this?
yeah,
Because
so
it may pertain to the show as a whole. We won't give away any specifics, but we were
okay, yeah.
discussing we were discussing like films we hated and how we might need to reappraise them on the show.
Ooh, I was thinking of a different. I was thinking of a different thing. I actually was thinking this tied in more to. Oh, you're right. You're right. We were talking about the things we
Yeah,
hated. Um, so yeah,
and
let's.
I mentioned a certain actor, and then you said something about your mom,
Yeah,
and then I said something about your mom, and then it just kind of like fell apart from there. No, just
yeah, this is true. No,
kidding.
we were talking about maybe doing an episode or two of reevaluations where we intentionally choose movies that we've hated from the past. And
Mhm.
so Blake and I were trying to figure out what those movies might be, and I
It's
made
actually
some.
harder to do than you would expect because I was having to like dig down deep. I was like, okay, there's plenty of movies I find dull and kind of there,
Hmm.
but I had to think about like movies that I remember like viscerally hating.
Yeah, no, that was it was very hard because I generally like movies. I think reading Roger Ebert's reviews really had this impact on me where he would generally score things kind of on the higher side.
Yeah,
And I think that was good. Like he was
Siskel was
like
kind of the pessimist.
yeah, but Ebert's perspective was like, look, I like movies. Why would I be so down about them all the time? And I tried to, and he even said like I think he has a quote about, I don't remember what it is. I'm paraphrasing a memory of a quote. But he has this idea that was like even a terrible movie is a feat to make, and so
Yeah,
he always tried to honor that, and I thought that was kind of neat. So I've kind of adopted that perspective when it comes to movies, and yeah, sometimes I play up my disgust for things, but there's rarely a movie that gets me down to my core where I'm like, I hate that. There's tons of movies I
yeah.
never want to see again, and there's tons of movies that I'm like, that was the. But I try to recognize like it was someone's vision, and they created something that was hard to do. So
And so I just want to point out to the listener that in the midst of this conversation, we came across a movie that, at least at the time, I adored and Jamison absolutely despises.
oh
And
man,
we have finally come upon the film the Holy Grail, the Oasis film that is going to break this podcast apart, which is why we're going to save it for a long time.
Yeah, that's going in the vault, and we are
That one's
not.
going in the vault.
That's going in the vault. Um, but it might come out later this year. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so it might not be in the vault very long. But along this conversation, Blake mentioned an actor, and do you want to mention this actor that you think is kind of meh?
Yeah, no, I said I generally speaking found Harrison Ford after regarding Henry largely meh. I think
And
he's I think he gets more credit than he deserves. I think he's just as one note as Nicolas Cage. Actually, no, take that back. I think Nicolas Cage has a few more notes than Harrison Ford does.
okay. And regarding Henry, for those that don't remember, regarding Henry came out in 1991, and is this right? It was written by J.J. Abrams.
Would make sense.
I I haven't seen it. I just
I
didn't
mean,
know
it's
that.
fine. It probably
Yeah,
doesn't hold up near as well as it used to, but I remember really liking it.
yeah. So it came out. This is post Indiana Jones, right? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, post the first three Indiana Joneses.
Yes. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
there's a fourth one that
Which I've never
I
seen.
yeah.
I heard it
There.
involves a nuclear bomb and a fridge.
Well, I believe that that's just like kind of an opening scene, but
Uh,
it's honestly that's probably the best part of the movie is that opening scene. It's kind of fun. But then
you
the
mean to
rest
tell
of the
me that
movie
the
is
part
like,
that everyone, when that movie came out, bitched about is the best part of that movie?
yeah, that part is
Damn.
fun.
Oof. That's a bad movie then.
Yeah. Anyway, and then I asked Blake after he revealed his madness about Harrison Ford. I asked Blake if I had ever told him what my mom calls Harrison Ford.
And I said, "What? No, what?" And then he said, "Never mind." And I was like, "Motherfucker."
Yeah, and then I said, "No, this is good podcast content. I'm going to save it for the podcast."
And then I was like, "Oh." So I will get to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So this
my
I've been looking forward to this for like 2 days now. So
so this has been a consistent thing. This isn't something she said yesterday. She's been calling him this my entire life.
okay.
She calls him boring man. My
Yeah,
mom
I'm
does
fine with
not,
that.
she completely agrees with Blake's assessment. Meh, bad.
He's and to be completely honest, I think the only reason why he's good in the quote unquote great movies he's in is because of the directing and the story. I don't think he himself adds a whole lot. He does passable, but I think if you really were to watch them and break down his performance, it's probably not near as good as people say it is.
So so we were talking about two other actors who fit this mold too,
Yeah. Uh huh.
right?
Yep.
In previous weeks, and so I was jumping the gun on this conversation because I was already connecting it to that, and I was thinking it came from that.
Nice.
But do we want to mention who these other
Yeah.
actors? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for background, because I've been at home with an infant, I've been watching a lot of movies, trying to go through some of my more bucket list type things where I'm like, oh, I've wanted to watch more John Huston movies, so I'll tackle those, and I've wanted to watch more noir movies, so I'll try to tackle those. So I started with the Maltese Falcon. Well, I didn't start with that, but at one point I was like, oh, I'm going to start the Maltese Falcon. And I watched that, And don't get me wrong, Maltese Falcon is a fine movie. It's okay. Um, maybe I'm a little cool on that movie itself, but John Huston is good and has made better movies, and we can talk. Well, I'm going to talk about one of those in a
I would
second.
say he shines with his westerns.
Yeah, uh, but but um, what struck me was how much I didn't care for Humphrey Bogart at all, and I was like, what is up with this guy? So I was like, let me watch a few more Humphrey Bogarts and see if I feel the same way. And I watched Casablanca, and I'm like, yeah, Casablanca is a good movie, but it feels Humphrey Bogart's acting feels a lot like his character in that movie, which is he's a center for much more interesting characters to revolve
Mm.
around him. And all due respect to Humphrey Bogart, to Bogey,
No, you don't need to do that. Don't hedge your bets. Come
yeah,
on now.
I, he, well, he was,
You
he
don't have to
was
respect the dead. Come on now.
he was a movie star, a legitimate movie
Yeah,
star. So I'm not shitting on that, but I don't think he was a good actor. And I
he
think
was
those
no
are
he was no Cary Grant or Jimmy Stewart.
yeah. He wasn't even he wasn't a Burt he was not a Burt Lancaster. Burt Lancaster is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um he there were plenty of other better actors even in the movies that he's in too. Um, However, I did watch the Treasure of the Sierra Madres,
That's a good
and
film.
that was definitely my favorite Humphrey Bogart film, and also his best performance. And
Yeah.
one thing I noticed was that in most of his movies, he plays the cool asshole. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, buh. You know, in The Treasure of Sierra Madres, he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's kind of dumb. He's not super slick. He's kind of down and out the whole movie.
Mhm.
And he's kind of a bad guy. He's not
Yeah.
like he and at the end of the film, he ends up getting chopped up. Like he it doesn't end well for him. And I think props to Bogey for kind of going against type and not being likable in this movie. And I think it stretched him too cuz he's better. Um anyway, those were some of my thoughts. So I was sharing them with Blake and he brought up another actor.
Who I mean, it's this is not like breaking new ground or anything. I think there's a lot of people out there that would agree with me generally. Not of the boomer generation, because that generation adores this actor. But John Wayne, God bless him. If you like him in one western, you like him in the mall. He's True Grit, good film. John Wayne, he's fine. Whatever. I used to think that there were only like two or three movies that he really uh like tried to do something more than what his typical persona is. And I just recently rewatched one of those films with my wife, The Quiet Man, uh, and I was unpleasantly surprised at how it really did not hold that he really played a different character. He's pretty much still John Wayne, and that made me a little sad on the inside.
Mm,
Uh, and part of me thinks that if I were to watch, I think it's. I'm trying to think the name of it. He plays like a coach for Notre Dame or something like that. Um,
mm,
there's a movie I don't remember the name of it, and then there's McHugh, which was one of his last films. But I think if I were to go back and watch McHugh, uh, the cancer is doing more of acting than he is. Because I remember he's just like, he looks tired. And I don't think it's because he's old or anything like that. I think it's because the cancer was literally killing him when he made that film. So um, I don't think he acts except for his persona. And
Yeah.
if you like that, then great. But it's not. Even The Searchers, which is considered one of the great westerns of all time, I think it's a great film. I think it could have been made better with a different lead. So sue me.
And you know what? You might actually get sued for that.
Yeah, exactly.
No. And you know, this was kind of what I was trying to get at with Humphrey Bogart is like their acting didn't actually require them to be good actors, and
No.
they still, fit into the culture at the time, and people appreciated them, and I think people can appreciate them because they were movie stars, and this
Yep.
was, I think there's a distinction here between acting and persona and the types of personas that you know reflect whatever values we like in films and things like that. And I think these characters were reflections of who we wanted to be more than reflections of good craft,
Yeah. Yeah. I totally
in
agree with that.
general. And so, you know, watching the Treasures of Sierra Madre, it makes me think, well, maybe Humphrey Bogart actually was a good actor. He just chose not to be in most of his movies. I
Yeah.
don't know. And, again, maybe with John Wayne, maybe he knew how to act, but he also knew how to continue being big John Wayne, and he chose that path. So,
Yeah.
and then there's Harrison Ford, which seems to be a more modern version of this, where it's just I'm Harrison.
Although I would almost say that, like, as far as trajectory of film career, like, he's second tier to Bogart and Wayne, even then. Like,
This this is true, and maybe that's okay. You know, I think I think that fits in with what my mom's name of him, Boring Man. He just kind of fizzled out. I
yeah.
I don't think anyone would not call Harrison Ford a big movie star. But yeah, he doesn't really do much anymore with
Yeah.
acting. So
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
the last movie that he was in the Star Wars one where he was Han Solo again, and then he.
Yeah, I think he's got some new TV show or miniseries on Apple
Mm,
TV or something coming out soon.
yeah.
But I think it's him and Jason Siegel,
Mm.
something like that. Anyways, doesn't matter. But you know what this brings up, Jameson? This
What is?
brings up the fact that we could very much be wrong.
Yes. And you know what
And
else?
we were chastised for being wrong recently, and so I just want to point it out that to take everything we say with a grain of salt, but always know we're not getting paid.
By the people who control what
The film
the
industry.
film industry. Yeah. Uh, I actually have another connection between
Oh
our
shit!
chastisement. So
Synchronicity night. Woohoo!
so the movie that I mentioned Harrison Ford was in, the last Star Wars movie, he had a famous line. I don't know if you saw that movie or you remember this line, but
Are we talking
um,
about the? He wasn't in the Rise of Skywalker, was he?
it was the first one. He
It was the
dies.
Force Awakens. That
Yeah.
was so the movie increases in likability the second he dies. That's how bad he is.
Do you remember what he? Do you remember the scene leading up to
Yeah,
his death?
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah. It was rough.
Carrie Fisher's character turns to him and says, "I love you," and then what does he say?
Oh, I don't remember exactly what he
Oh,
says. I just
he's
remember the scene.
oh yeah, he says, "I know," and
Oh, yeah.
that's like how they end it. Fun fact: that wasn't written by whoever wrote that script. That was written by Dan Harmon for Community. So
That's
that
funny.
was first said by Troy and Abed on, I forget which Halloween episode it was, but it's the Halloween
Oh,
episode where they everybody gets infected by oh where they get infected by a zombie virus that's
yeah,
carried in old um, rations of food, or
yeah,
the dean puts some radioactive stuff on the food and they turn into zombies.
yeah.
Um,
God, I
Abed
need to
get
watch that show again. It's been a
yeah.
long time.
So hopefully by dredging that up, maybe wins me some leeway with this person.
You clearly
Um,
don't know this person very well.
I have never met that. Uh, so
You do know his brother though.
I I I I
I
don't
mean,
think
you
I've ever
know him.
met Luke before,
Yeah.
but I know of the Harrington boys. Um,
Yes.
anyway, just from the out, I think I've read Luke's one of Luke's books, the Ghost one, Ophelia Alive. That's
Yeah.
what it's
Philly
called.
alive. Yep.
Yeah.
Award winning.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Doesn't
Um,
matter what award. It was award winning.
we could give awards, and then people could say their things are award winning.
Exactly.
Oh, we
I mean,
should have
once we get to a certain listener level, we're gonna start doing that.
awards.
Yep.
But what ended up happening was last episode, this would have been the New Year's Eve episode,
Yep.
the final episode of last season. I made an error and it was about the show Community. And I think the best way to explain the error is to read this email from Thaddeus
Which
Harrington.
I had not read, so this is my first time to actually hear
you
it.
you have not read it. Okay.
Nope.
Dear to whom it may concern, I was listening to the most recent Flyby Films episode and couldn't help but note the regrettable error made by one Jamison. I don't remember his last name. In discussing the episode of Community, Competitive Wine Tasting, Season 2, Episode 20, in which Abed takes an episode over the show Who's the Boss, Jamison claimed that Professor Sheffield insisted that Tony was the boss. In fact, he argued that there was no answer to the question and that it was rhetorical. See below links. Uh, Perhaps Jameson was thinking of the How I Met Your Mother episode, Columns, Season 2, Episode 13, in which the question is brought up, with most of the characters responding that it's Tony, though Barney insists if you watch it more closely, it's Mona. If possible, please correct this error in your next episode. Or don't. I honestly just needed a distraction from my job. And then he links some Wikipedia and YouTube highlights of the episode, and yeah. So I'm very
So
sorry.
this brings up a question that Thad will for sure hear because he listens to us every time. Which job? Because you have like three.
Oh yeah. Well, ultimately, I hope this was a nice distraction for Thad on his job.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Um,
So are you gonna grovel?
I am sorry I made that error. I should not have said that Professor. Oh, I forget his name.
Sheffield.
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 Yeah, Professor Sheffield had insisted that Tony was the boss. I was wrong. He insisted that it's true. He did not. He thinks that there is no answer to the question. Uh, but I will like to point out that as I was reading this email, I noticed that someone misspelled my name, the writer of the email. But Thad followed up and apologized for that. So no hard feelings.
I if Thad was listening to the episode close enough, he would have known that I believe I seconded your take on that episode, and yet he wants to put all of the blame on you, even though I was an accomplice.
I don't know because I didn't.
So take that, Thad.
I I didn't listen to that episode again.
I mean, do we ever listen to our episodes? Because neither one of us likes to hear our voices. So
I will give episodes cursory listens for certain points. I guess I could have gone back and listened to that and clarified what I had said, but I will
but
take
why?
Thad's word for it.
Oh, he's obsessive. So I would take his word for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I believe it.
yeah.
Uh,
So
Well,
does that mean we should get into the actual film? Because we're 45 minutes in. We've been bantering a while.
ooh, there's been a lot of banter, but look, this is the beginning of season 2.
Yeah,
We've had like 3 weeks in between. Well, I don't even remember when did we record that. I think it's been like,
we recorded like the Tuesday or Wednesday night before New Year's.
yeah, it's been like almost a
So
month. So
yeah,
we had a lot of pent up banter tension.
and in baby days, that's huge.
Oh yeah, my mind has been running.
Yeah, yeah. Baby days, man. It's like a whole freaking year.
Yeah. So sorry if you've made it this far. We're finally gonna talk about our movie.
Which, let's be honest, probably most people don't care about. But it has a special place in my heart.
Okay, so what is the movie,
The
Blake?
movie is 2000's Frequency with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel.
Mm-hmm.
A touching story of a father and son who I'm not reading the wiki, so this
Oh,
is off the top of my head.
perfect.
Although, actually, you know what? I'm going to pull up the wiki because that's
Okay.
how we do things here.
Oh, well, that's yeah.
So make sure you vamp.
Okay. I'll vamp while you're pulling up the wiki. Yeah. You know what? I'm surprised. I think a lot of people like this movie. Um, like a lot of people have very fond memories of this movie. Um, I've already mentioned her once on the podcast, so I'll mention her again. My mom was a really big fan of this movie, and this was even before uh, Jim Caviezel's Jesus Christ days, and
Yeah.
she's still a big fan of him. And today, my wife's uncle came over to our house, and he saw the Blu-ray on my table, and he was like, "Oh, that's a great movie." So I believe there's there's a pretty good contingent of people that still kind of like this
There's a
movie a lot.
fondness about it that I'm not the only one. Well, that's good.
No, no.
Wiki has the worst short description ever.
Oh,
So I'm not going to read that. I'm going to go with what I should have just gone with my instincts. But you know what? Jim Caviezel told me to go against it, and I did.
oh, yes.
So here we go. Touching story about a father and son who are separated by time and space, but on the night of, or the week, like 2 weeks, who knows? Time is a construct. The time of the aurora borealis causes ham radios to spark up a conversation between a father and son the father is supposedly dead, but in the past. So the son is talking to his dead father in the past.
Mm.
And it turns out they get a chance to solve a crime. A crime that killed their wife slash mother. But the only reason why the wife slash mother died was because Jim Caviezel told Dennis Quaid to go the other direction in a fire. And he survived. And then Dennis Quaid had to screw it all up and go see his wife. And then she ended up saving the bad guy.
Got all
And
that?
then he killed her. See what happens when you fuck with history?
See? It's as simple as that. Come on. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of so I actually looked up a review of this on Roger Ebert, and they gave it a pretty high review. But I think I largely agree with the guy. He says there are like probably endless loopholes and just complete like it makes no sense by the time you like the more you think about it.
yeah.
But it doesn't matter by the end because you're so like filled with emotion and whatnot that that's all that matters. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. I had more issues with it this time than I ever have in the past. And that's because I've been reading a lot of weird shit lately. It's got me thinking about time. So,
Yeah. No. I think the plot holes are I think maybe I disagree a little bit where I think they rise to the level of distracting in this movie.
okay.
But but I will say you're going into the movie knowing that the reason why these ham radios are acting this way is
Mm-hmm.
because of the aurora borealis. So
Yeah.
if you're expecting primer level like
Yeah.
scrutiny of time travel, then you've sat down for the wrong movie. So
Yeah.
you need to get on a different mindset if you're going to watch
Yep.
this movie. Or
This is mainstream. This
just turn
is
it
this
off.
is this is simplified.
Yeah. Like what was the first thing you noticed about this movie when you turned it on? Like the first thing to jump out at you.
How bad the graphics of the sun are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the movie opens with like this like weird like sunspot, like the sun, like the what do they call them? Sun,
Hmm.
the things that rise up off the surface of the sun.
Solar
I don't know.
flares.
Solar flares. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see all that happening on the sun, but it's the worst special effects ever. Like it's
Pretty,
bad. The music behind it's badass. Crimson Clover, that's some good ass shit. The graphics, not so good. Pretty rough.
no. But it was over 20 years ago. So,
Yes, but still, come on now.
yeah. What was there anything like I guess anything positive you noticed? I don't know. I'm just what
Was there? Are you trying to get at something? Is there something that you saw?
No, no, no,
Because just
no.
give it to me straight, bro.
Yeah, I guess I could just talk about mine. I was just trying to like I know, I know you said you had a fondness, so I was wondering if any nostalgia or
Oh
anything
no,
popped up.
no, no. I the nostalgia of this film surrounds the general. At the time, I had a general like of Dennis Quaid.
Hmm.
Um, I think this was probably the first thing I saw Jim Caviezel in, but this is also what kind of made me like him, uh, even before Passion of the Christ, which I didn't actually terribly like at the
Mm.
time. Probably for all the dumbest reasons, but whatever. Um, but yeah, I was a big Dennis Quaid fan at the time, and so I still like Dennis Quaid. I think he's pretty one note in a lot of ways, but he's a persona I like. So
I definitely noticed Dennis Quaid's persona
yeah,
that jumped out. Like he was very cool. Like
yes, mm-hmm.
um and when I say cool, I think I'm half putting it in quotes and half putting it,
Yeah.
not in quotes.
He's
Uh
he's trying to be 50s 60s cool,
yeah.
but not pulling it off quite.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely a vision of someone thought this was cool. Someone
Yeah.
on the film set, whether it was the director or the set designer or the costume designer,
Hmm.
someone, you know, um, Kira and I have been watching a lot of a lot of so I've been watching a lot of noir that takes place in New York, and she's been watching The Sopranos and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
we've just been hearing all these New York accents.
That's
So like
hilarious.
I I immediately picked that out, like, oh, it's hard edged New York guys, and that's yeah.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting. So I had seen this movie when it came out. I forgot that it came out pre 9/11.
Hmm.
And if you had asked me like what year did Frequency come out, I would have said something like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
But this is, it opens with a very intense first responder scene. Uh, and this was before 9/11. But like as I
Yeah.
was watching it, I was like, oof, this is really playing into like post 9/11 feel good vibes. And then I was like, oh no, it's not. It's
It's
not. It's pre.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
I I will say it didn't hold up near as well on this viewing
No.
for me either. I still maintain though that uh, as far as jumping boards, I think this movie provides a lot of jumping boards for a lot of really cool ideas
Hmm.
that it doesn't execute very well ultimately.
Yeah, yeah. I think I agree that I like the father son connection, and and the movie does get that that's kind of the core of it. And I love the mechanic of, you know, hearing a past voice,
Hmm.
um, and communicating with the past and doing it through, a ham radio, and it's pretty neat. But yeah, I think beyond that, when other parts of the plot are happening,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, oof, I, uh, you know, I think I get distracted by the time stuff because I don't quite understand the rules all the time, and it's like, oh, what's coming up next? Because
Yeah.
you're just kind of telling me what the rules are. Um, but you
So
know,
let me tell you my kind of line of thought during the movie because y'all don't understand how much I adored this film when I was younger. When it first came out, I saw it in theaters. Adored it. Loved it. Like would wait for the video store. That's right, video store to have a copy of it so I could rent it again and watch it. Like this movie was like my favorite for that year. So
mhm.
we're talking like this was a big deal.
Yeah,
This movie. So I sit down. I'm like, I'm expecting to like be tuned out in and out of the film because I largely know the basic story of it. I'm not expecting to be surprised by anything. I start watching this film and I'm like, God, the acting really sucks. Like it's not good. The only one who does a good job is Elizabeth Mitchell, who plays the wife and the mother, and she doesn't have much to do, so it's
Yeah.
easy to get away with it.
I thought I
But
thought
everyone else, like even Dennis Quaid, like like you said, his persona is largely like he's riding off of the persona. That's it. He's not putting anything else into it. It's Dennis Quaid. And
it's
Jim Caviezel is stiff the whole time. I'm just like, oh my gosh, why did I do this to myself? I should have just never watched it again.
I think Andrew Brower does a decent
Oh
job,
no, he's great, but he's great in everything.
but
Yeah,
don't but he basically plays the same character minus the laughs that he plays
yeah,
on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I yeah he so okay. So I'm still watching this film, and the mechanics of the plot start to bother me.
okay,
Okay, and now there's an interesting point, and this is getting into the weeds, and I'm sorry. But from day one that I saw this film, there's a scene in this film that has never made sense to me. I don't
okay,
understand why it was in the film. I don't know where it came from, and I don't know why it's in there. And
okay.
it was the scene once I think he finds out his mom is dead because he changed time, something like that. And he's in the restroom and Andre Brower comes in and he's like, "Don't you ever disrespect me." Blah blah blah. He's real angry, like real Andre Brower angry. And Jim Caviezel's, stiff. And I was like, did I miss something? Why is he mad at what? I've never understood this. I never understood it when I saw it the first time. I still don't understand why that scene is in there. It makes no sense.
I remember watching that scene and thinking, like, so he comes in. I think maybe he's a little hungover, and
That's the only thing I could come up with is that
yeah,
he's mad because he was hungover and he came in late again.
yeah.
But
I, at
what?
first I was thinking maybe something happened in the past where their relationship isn't as good anymore. But after that scene, they seem to be fine, back to
Yeah.
normal. And I think that's what's confusing about it is that scene pops out of nowhere, almost like there was another scene that got
Oh.
cut from the movie.
Oh. I didn't even hear about this.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Oh, gotcha. Speculating. Gotcha.
It almost seems like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay, so can we get into the nitty gritty of like the mechanism? Are you
I
down with this, or do you still have some like premature like
I have two vibe
okay
things.
vibe? Go for it.
Uh First vibe is 10 minutes in, there's a surprise cameo from someone who's going to be very popular in the future. And that someone is
Is
Michael Cera.
yes, and he's never seen again.
And he's never seen again. But there's someone who looks like him named George Michael on the show called Arrested Development that, is
Yeah,
very popular
and apparently there's like Scott Pilgrim movie. I never saw
movie.
it.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I saw it.
you meant never seen again in the movie. Yes, that's true. He plays a
No,
brief
never
part.
seen again in the movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um yeah,
Like
so
bit part of all bit parts.
yeah.
Yeah,
But undeniably him. and undeniably super young, cute Michael Cera, little boy. So,
Yeah, which he never was again.
well, he looks exactly the same except bigger now. In his,
And that's the problem.
yeah, yeah,
It was cute back then. It's like Haley Joel Osment.
yeah.
Cute back then, strange now.
Strange. I
I
think both.
still like him.
Yeah,
I still like Haley Joel Osment. I think he's funny, but strange.
yeah. Yeah, I think both him and Michael Cera had to kind of move more towards comedy.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yep.
some
Makes
of
sense.
us some of us look good, some of us look funny.
I mean,
Um, there's
it's a thing.
yeah. Um, anyway,
What's the second vibe?
second vibe is I think we have a new reigning champion for cheesiest ending.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Although,
sorry, Brubaker.
okay, are we talking about the song, the Garth Brooks song?
Yes, I
Because old Dennis Quaid coming in with a fucking shotgun, that's badass.
no. I'm talking. Yeah, I'm talking about the baseball scene at the
Yeah.
very end,
Oh, it's horrible.
and the Golf Brooks Golf Garth Brooks song that leads into the credits and
So,
plays through.
I'm just gonna say, I used to love that song, and it's
Okay,
partially because of this movie. But I've come around on Garth Brooks. I
okay.
used to hate him, but as a now resident Okie, uh,
Is he from Oklahoma?
oh yeah, Oklahoma City,
Ooh,
yeah. So he's a Democrat,
you know what?
which is insane.
Garth Brooks should
Yeah,
do an album with the Flaming Lips.
that's why he did. That's why he was saying at the inaugural for Joe Biden.
Oh,
Yep, he's one of the few Democratic country people.
that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's all right.
I mean, he has his own bull. Like he has a whole street named after him in Oklahoma City. So
That's
that's yeah,
cool.
he's a thing.
All right.
But yeah,
Well,
I
look,
did like the song.
uh,
It's cheesy,
yes,
and the scene is ultra cheesy.
I I'm not I'm not trying to say anything's wrong with these things necessarily.
But
I'm
nothing was right.
I'm just trying to say I think this is the cheesiest ending, the corniest ending of
Yeah.
of the movies that we've seen. And this dethrones Brubaker's ending.
Okay, that's fair.
The hand claps.
Man, the hand claps though, man, they still piss me off.
Okay, they might piss you off. All right, maybe we can revisit this later. We'll table
Yeah,
it. If you're
yeah, we'll
you're
table it.
you're
Yeah,
feeling unsettled, I'm throwing my towel in for
with
uh
frequency.
with
Okay,
frequency.
I feel like needs to be a year-long battle.
we should
So
we should give an award for cheesiest ending.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so those were the two vibe check things that I had to. Um,
Okay, no, those are both totally acceptable.
yeah.
I want to get into the mechanics of this
Okay.
because I was really bothered by the mechanics of this film. Um, the first time that I recall being really bothered by it, and it really centered around the fact that for whatever reason, Jim Caviezel kept all of the memories of
Yes.
everything that happened in the past, and no one else did. Because
Yes.
in a perfect time travel movie, he wouldn't remember either. So it wouldn't matter. As far as we're concerned, we've time traveled too, but we don't remember it because we changed the past, and our memories are changed because of it.
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up too.
I think it's
Why?
stupid. I think it's stupid,
Okay.
but I also understand that they wouldn't have had a movie otherwise.
Yes.
And
You
that's the problem with time travel movies.
you can't you
You
can't
have to break the rules to make a good time travel movie.
yeah, you wouldn't have so if for those who didn't watch the movie and haven't seen it before, the whole plot revolves around Jim Caviezel and his dad sharing information over time with one another. And if you
On a ham radio. Very important for
on a ham
radio.
radio, and if you break the continuity of that information exchange, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, for example, Jim Caviezel is like giving his dad information to try to help him catch a serial killer. And each time his dad kind of gets closer to catching the killer or thwarts the killer in a certain way,
Hmm.
something in the past changes, and then there's an effect in the future. What one thing we should note is uh, I was watching this with my wife, and she's like, clearly the butterfly effect is not at play here.
Yeah.
So these changes are very very chunky, coarse. Like, oh, he's made this specific change.
Yeah.
They're not. Oh, he talked to his dad 10 seconds longer than his dad would have stayed at the ham radio had he not been talking to him.
Yep.
So that means that his dad didn't hear the cat meowing down the road and, go to the refrigerator when he heard that. And then, the
Or the
whole
simple
world.
fact that they actually talked to each other on the ham radio, which meant that in the fire, Dennis Quaid probably should have done the same thing he did before, and he would have survived because they talked to each other on the radio
Yeah.
instead
Um,
of going the way that his son from the future told him to go.
well, even
Just as
even that, I thought it was funny because it was like they were passing this information, but it wasn't very like a lot of the information wasn't very concrete information. It
yeah,
was like go the other way,
it
like
was
go
vibe information.
go
He's
yeah
like he's like, the vibes that you get, don't listen to them.
yeah go the
Go
other
against the
way
vibes.
from your intuition. Go the other way, and it's like, well, is there like one choice he has to make when he jumps into this fire? And yeah, the how the movie sets up is like there's one choice. Everything else is on a rail. And
Yeah.
so that's the approach of time that it takes. But yeah, I agree. The most frustrating thing is Jim Caviezel is able to hold on to his memories, but everybody else loses theirs.
Yeah.
Memories of false pasts, right?
Yeah.
Once they didn't happen.
Or alternate dimensions, because we also could believe that this is a multi-world split,
Hmm.
and they're just like splitting off into a new,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Like,
yeah.
I guess there are like a couple spin-offs of this. I don't know if you saw that. There's
There's a TV show I know that was on CW
okay. Do you know if the TV
last
show
season.
went into any of the mechanics?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect the second I heard it was on CW, I was like, it's gonna be more about the relationship and less about the actual craziness.
Hmm.
So I can just watch the movie. If it'd been on like HBO, okay, different story. This might be good. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know if they went into it or not.
Yeah.
Well, there were other spin-offs.
I think there was a there was a South Korean show called The Signal that was a
Oh,
spinoff. I'm just going based on what Wikipedia says. So,
wiki.
wiki. Um, yeah, I was just curious if anyone ever tried to delve in deeper into what the framework might actually look like and what kind of the rules might be. Like one thing that I was thinking of is potentially since the genesis of the changes came from these two beings kind of sharing information, maybe since they were close to where the change started, they were able to kind of retain, these universes
Yeah.
split at that point, and so they're both able to kind of retain. But I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense in the first place. Like, I wouldn't buy anything like that. But like, I guess that's a reason.
I just see a world in which, if time travel really is a thing, and we're able to actually do it, I don't see a world in which it doesn't just descend into absolute chaos and the world just implodes on itself.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, simply because of the butterfly effect. Like, you can't contain the. So, okay, for instance, this is a trope in time travel films, including Back to the Future. Don't don't do anything.
Yeah,
Just observe. You've already done something. You've gone back in time, which shifts the reality of a thing. It's a problem.
it's a problem. It's a
And
problem.
this is why time travel movies are maddening.
They are so maddening. Although, what do you
Primer
think?
Primer comes closest to being
Yes.
flawless. But even then, if I was smart enough, I could find the flaw in it. I'm just
Yeah.
not smart enough. So
I also think what saves some of these good movies too is they decide, and to Frequency's credit, it tries to focus on something else.
yeah.
It doesn't try to sell you on the time travel mechanic. And
Yeah.
again, Back to the Future, very good time travel movie.
Hmm.
That has a lot more than the time travel going
Yeah.
for it. It's
Hmm.
fun, it's adventurous, it's a comedy. Primer probably is the
Hard
one
sci-fi.
that tries to sell you on it the most, but
Hmm.
not only does it do a decent job of making it seem believable, but it's also a story about the genesis of evil and how that comes about through lots of choices and things like that. So
Yeah.
again, these movies, the good movies, all kind of have a little bit more going for them than just time travel mechanics
Yeah.
too.
Well, and I remember a Octavia Butler quote, famous science fiction author.
I'm
Um,
currently reading Parable of the Sower.
Nice. So I haven't read any of her stuff. I've read some of her like essays and things like that, but I've never read any of the novels. But she said something to the effect of, the first rule of writing good science fiction is to get the science right.
Hmm.
And I was talking to another friend of mine recently that, uh, that's just not the prerogative in this day and age of science fiction writing. It's about the interpersonal relationships, and whereas like you're the age of Arthur C. Clarke and Philip K. Dick and all these famous golden age science fiction writers, um, their concern was less about like
Hmm.
their characters might be stiff and they might be like unlikable, but it was not about the characters. It was about the science, the mechanics of what was going on in the story. So
So that's so interesting, because what I'm reading in Octavia Butler's, you know, Parable of the Sower, and I'm only about halfway through.
uh-huh.
I'm not all the way through. She actually, like, I can't fault her for getting science wrong. She actually, like, she's describing uh, a dry California on the brink of climate collapse,
Uh-huh.
which takes place in the 2020s. And this was written in 1993. And I'm like sitting here in California going, oh, this is weirdly similar. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you clearly had a gift for like seeing, into the future. But what's striking about her book is is the characters. It's the
Mm-hmm.
focus beyond the science. And I have a suspicion that that's actually going to be where the story kind of points to, is
Gotcha.
more of a human element of hope than a mechanical science ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe that's not exactly what she meant with that quote too. But yeah, I think I yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I'm
and
pleasantly
her
surprised.
quote, I do want to like separate her quote from the comment about the Arthur C. Clarke not
Hmm.
caring about the characters, whatnot. I don't think I don't think she would say that characters don't matter. I think she would very much say that characters matter, but I think her concern was very much like make sure you understand the science behind what you're writing about before you
Hmm.
like dig into the mechanics of the story and the characters that are going to live within that narrative. Um, I think she probably was one of the few that could actually fuse the two together well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She was not the post-humanist type like Clark and Dick and other people. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think I would need to read more Clark and Dick, and then also Butler, to really have have a lot to say on that.
yeah,
Some
exactly.
Sometimes there's just too much to read, too
Oh
much
yeah.
to watch. But
The fact that you're reading reading a novel that's been on my queue for like 5 years now, it makes me want to go ahead and start reading it.
yeah, um, it's good. You should read it. I
Yeah,
think it's worthwhile. And then to any of our listeners, it's worthwhile.
yeah.
Um, but where were we going with this? Um,
About
I
the bad science of frequency.
Yeah, I actually have no. I have kind of a scientific question for you.
Okay.
Um, and this, I don't. Did you want to bring up the homework that you gave
Yes.
me?
Yeah. Bring it up. Yeah.
Okay, so Blake, you gave me a podcast to listen to.
Which is your favorite thing in the world?
I don't mind podcasts. I I think when I put on headphones, I usually try to listen to music, and then I don't know. I don't always have space for podcasts in my head, but I enjoy them.
Yeah.
And maybe I just need to, I think the podcasts my wife likes tended to be true crime. Um, uh, and aside, ever since having our kid, she's told me that true crime isn't hitting as well. And in fact, it's
Yeah.
it's it's kind of like she almost feels like her brain is changed away from that now
That's
after
fair.
which I thought was interesting, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing that. But but you gave me a podcast to listen to, and that's the point. And it was, I'm trying to find it and pull it up. Um, the podcast is called Unexplained, and
By Richard McLean Smith. There's
yes.
always a pause. Always a pause.
Oh, I thought you were just giving credit to him, which was what I should have been doing, but I
No,
appreciate that.
that's how he announces his name. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a thing. He even has a shirt that has Richard McLean ... Smith.
Nice. Um, and in this podcast, it's about something that happened in 1986, in or about that
Yeah,
time,
yeah, early to mid '80s
in
in
the
Dawdleston, England,
Dawdleston, England.
on the border of Wales and England, I believe.
Yeah,
Yep.
possibly.
I
And
think that's. I could be wrong.
uh, why not? I don't think. What? Are you afraid Thad's gonna look it up and write to us again?
Probably. Oh, I know he's going to now.
Do your worst, Thad. Do your
Do
worst.
your worst.
Um, but the story is about this group of college age to early career adults who kind of live in a flat together, and
An
um,
old flat, old
oh
house.
yes,
Yes.
and um, and they have a computer either from the school that one of them works at,
Hmm.
or I'm not quite remembering how the computer shows up, but there's a computer that shows up, and
Their friend is wanting to start writing something. Uh, I forget what it is, a novel or a screenplay or something like that. And so he brings it home from his school where he teaches, for
mhm,
her to be able to write on it.
yeah, and then all of the sudden, uh, the plot of frequency starts happening.
Exactly.
No, so they start noticing files on the computer that are
Hmm.
addressed to them, and they start clicking on them, and the first ones they notice are from this very old English person who I forget which century they're from.
I believe it's 1400s.
1400s. So it's either someone from the 1400s or
Yeah.
someone pretending to be someone
14,
from
1500s, something like that. Yeah.
the 1500s. And it's written in this very old English, and
Hmm.
it I forget what the initial messages say, but they're very creepy and
Flowery and creepy.
flowery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it ends up being this weird, like, communication between these people in the 1980s and this, like, random guy in the 1500s who's clearly learned because he's writing in poetic form sometimes. And
And he owns a computer too,
yeah,
so
well, apparently, or something, or he writes on the computer in the house, which is the hard, like, that's the weird thing about this story is that, like, because 14 computers didn't exist back then, like,
yeah.
part of it is, like, is the spirit of this guy in the house and he's just typing on the computer, or is, like, there's some weird, like, technological exchange between, like, the stone tape theory, of,
Hmm.
like, things, like inanimate objects contain the spirits or the historical record of things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a strange story, uh,
Yeah.
but
So
it's fascinating. Yeah,
as it unfolds, these people, and also they get these messages checked out by people at this college, like scholars, who are like, "Wow, this this really sounds like this. It's a person from that era, or
yeah,
someone who has done a very, very deep dive
yeah.
into this person."
Apparently, it was like linguistically spot on for the time period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and soon they talk to this guy from the past, and he mentions that he thinks that they are from the year 21 something.
49 or something like that.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And they're like, no, we're in 1984.
He says something to the effect of, I thought you were the others from
Yeah,
2149 or something like that. And
yeah.
they're like, no, we're from the 1980s.
And
And
so,
then they start getting messages from these future people.
yeah, so they're actually now playing frequency
Yeah.
from the side of the son, and then also the father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And what did they use to ask the people in the future to see if they were actually not like actually from the future or if they were a hoax?
So this is what I really remember, and you know why I was
Yeah,
attracted to
of
this,
course.
but I was actually
Because
real
Jamison has a doctorate in mathematics.
I was really excited because they asked the people math questions, and they asked for what the solutions were of these things. One of them was uh, they said, like, we're in 1986. What is the next? What is a prime number that's higher than the current highest prime number? And so
Yeah.
they asked that question, and I actually thought that was a really good question. And then they also asked what the solution to Fermat's last theorem was, which
And these are and are these actually because part of the reason why they asked these questions was because they were in theory simple enough to have been solved by 2149 or whatever it was. Were they really that simple to solve?
yeah, so we have larger prime numbers now than we did in
Okay,
the 80s,
gotcha.
um, because you can there's ways to generate new prime numbers and larger ones and higher ones,
Hmm.
but uh, those um, I mean, at least there's ways to like continue to check higher and higher numbers if they're prime
Gotcha.
numbers, and we know that there's infinitely many prime numbers, so there are larger and larger prime numbers out
Yeah,
there, and actually, I think that's one of the things that I thought was so interesting about this question was like these solutions exist in the past. These things exist in the past. These truths exist in the past. They're not something that's kind of created, but we just haven't discovered them yet. We
yeah.
haven't kind of uncovered that knowledge.
Mm.
And I thought that was really interesting about how they frame these questions. The other one was a very famous thing that Fermat said was true, and was like, "Oh, I don't have room to write the proof in this, the margins of this, so I'll do it later," and then never did.
And then
Um,
never did.
and then never did. But it was thought to be true because no one could ever find counterexamples to it,
Gotcha. Hmm.
and so it lasted a couple hundred years. So Fermat was I'm blanking. I'm so bad with dates. Fermat was hundreds of years ago, And it wasn't until 1994, so this is after the point that it was finally
Okay.
resolved.
So about 8 to 10 years after
Yeah, yeah.
this
Although,
event. Yeah.
so they said the guy was an economist. I think maybe he had an interest in math
Yeah.
because in the 80s there was a big push to try to solve it, and
Gotcha.
and there was movement made. There was different equivalencies of the statement made that made it kind of actually tackleable by
Yeah.
you know by mathematicians, and then it was solved by Andrew Wiles and one of his grad students because he originally proposed a proof in like '92, and there was a flaw in it that was found, and then one of his grad students helped him patch it up. So that's why '94. So
Nice.
yeah, um, but that one is maybe a little bit of a gimme question because even though like the question was what's the solution to this problem, and I guess it depends on how you frame a solution. The solution could just be, is this true, yes or no?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, it is true. And that's what everybody expected to be the case. But what's maybe
Yeah.
more interesting is why it's true and what's the
Yeah.
proof of that. And that is maybe too hard to write um, to write out. And if you know, even 150 years into the future, I don't think there's going to be a simple way to state
No.
this. So,
Yeah.
but
That makes sense.
But yeah, I thought that these questions were interesting because again, they were truths that are true, you know, hundreds of years ago, back when Fermat was there, but they just weren't uncovered yet, and they were something this person was predicting would be uncovered, and you would be able to reveal like I'm from the future because it's been uncovered at this point. So,
I mean, the more you talk about it, the more. So you had asked me earlier.
hmm
You wanted to know what I would pick as for what would I ask if I was in this situation where I was supposedly talking to someone in the future.
yes,
What questions would I ask? And I struggled with this. So like I've been thinking about it on and off for the last two days. Like I remember this morning when I was walking early in the morning. I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and either walk or run, and 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 I was thinking about this question, like what would I do? But the crazy thing about this is that I really didn't think about this when I was listening to the podcast again to kind of reacquaint myself with the story and to actually prove them correct, the answer's correct. In theory, he would have had to wait
hmm
potentially a long period of time before he could actually confirm whether they were right or not and whether this was a hoax or not. And the whole time I was thinking, like before I this came to mind, I was like, I don't want to wait years to figure out if I was hoaxed or not. And so
hmm
that was my struggle. What could I ask that was not so far in the future that but also not near enough to where like it's a reasonable guess for someone to say something like this or that. Like who's going to win the 2024 presidential election? Well,
hmm
okay, there's certain data points and things like that that you could probably make an educated guess and probably be right. It's not it's not that insane.
the
So
domain of options is small.
yes, it's small. And so I'm thinking like what could I what's that perfect realm of space where I it's just enough time to where I don't have to wait a long ass time to figure out if they're right or not, but also not close enough to where a simple guess or an educated guess would be enough to like con me. And I was struggling. Like I was struggling to come up with something. The only thing I could come up with is like required me to wait perhaps 8 to 10 years to
Well,
really be sure. Like,
I think the prime number one is maybe a good one because there's actually a way to check that would take even you like an hour at
okay,
tops. Like,
that's assuming I understand it well enough to check it.
yes, yeah. But what I'm saying is you could find a local mathematician and be like, "Hey, are these prime numbers?" And they could tell you, you know, that afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, but um, and you could
Do you
write
have
a.
an answer to this?
I don't. I was more just thinking about uh thinking about that one. I think asking for larger prime numbers than are known on this day because there are people who keep track of like when new larger prime numbers are
Gotcha.
discovered, and
Okay.
you can look that up. You can look up if the next one.
So it's a thing whenever a larger prime number shows up.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think there are a couple labs. I think like there's one in Missouri, um, that's just constantly like checking and trying to find larger and larger prime numbers and just
That's insane.
just log them
Why?
and keep track of them. I
But
mean,
why? Like
I
what's the purpose?
well, prime numbers are really important for cryptography.
Oh.
Yeah,
Like
so
like
keeping you
Bigfoot?
safe. No. Uh, keeping your credit card safe. Um,
Gotcha.
and things like that. So prime numbers are really important for that. I would say that's their
Okay.
biggest deal. And then, I mean, they're the atoms of numbers. So,
Okay.
just
Nice.
think of it that way. We want to fill out our table of elements for numbers, but we never will because there's an infinite number of them. So,
Yeah.
um,
But isn't infinity technically a prime number? You can't say
no,
it's not.
it's not a number. That's how they get away with that.
Oh, sheesh. Cheesy.
Infinity is a limit, Blake. A limit. Um,
But there is no limit because it's infinite.
it's a divergence then. How about that?
Okay, that works.
Yeah. Um, I do. So let's go back to frequency. Do you remember the tests that they use in that movie?
Yeah, it's the World Series,
The
the
World Series, yeah. In 1969.
1969 World Series. Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
yeah,
Um,
which actually was pretty brilliant. Like that's a pretty good way, especially the details in which they bring up in the movie.
mhm.
It's not so much about who wins. It's more about the events that led to the wins. And I think that's actually the most intelligent part that they do in the movie is because Andre Brower is like, what the hell are these people talking about? But then he overhears a newscaster say something that Dennis Quaid told him would happen in that game before the game was played. And he hears it and he's like, what? It's
It's
a shoe polish play. That's what
yeah.
they called it.
It's
And I was like,
interesting.
that's actually pretty brilliant. Like that's well done. Like
Yeah. It's interesting. Like you mentioned, like not choosing. something that's, where the domain of options is very small, because I think in our heads when we're doing this, we're thinking probabilistically and like kind of
Yeah.
statistically about these things, and then we hear, oh, it hits his shoe and gets shoe polish on the ball. If someone was to tell me that that's going to happen, I would think that they had something to do with setting it up,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
here's, my friend Joe Blow, who doesn't ever go to these baseball games, and just
Yeah.
watches from afar. There's no way he has a connection to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think that's the key, and it's used twice. It's used by the son to convince the dad that he's from the future. He tells him the end of one of the World Series games, and then the dad then gets told the entire story, and he remembers it.
Yep.
Because I think that's an interesting detail too, because 1960s, they were still kind of listening to these things on radios,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't super common to only watch it on TV. And so he probably has more of a visual memory, or I mean auditory memory, where he
Mm-hmm.
can he can remember these things and remember the details and conjure them up. And then he tells his friend in the police department to kind of convince him that he's been talking to someone from the future at one
Yeah.
point. So,
Yeah.
um, and ultimately, like, I think using that as kind of a mechanic is just fun because, again, the father and son bonding over sports, it was important to them. And so to have that kind of, again, reflect the core of this time travel mechanic here,
Yeah.
it covers some of the sins. Maybe not a
Yep.
multitude of them, but some
No,
some
not a
of them.
multitude, but some of them. Yeah. Yeah. I So there's this idea that I wanted to like toss out there in the final minutes of the podcast because we're bumping up against 2 hours. But
Yeah.
uh, I want to get your thoughts on this because I find it. I've always liked the fact that it was a ham radio,
Mm.
and that's partially because it's dead technology.
Mm.
So not dead in the sense that it's not ever used anymore because clearly people still use it. Like it's still a thing. You can still buy them and they still work. And people find counting stations and all sorts of stuff, world broadcasts and all sorts of things that happen on ham radios. It's still a thing. But as a whole, mainstream wise, it's a dead technology. And so this idea that we're talking to someone dead in the past, not dead in the past, but dead to us in the
Mm.
past, um, on a dead technology is fascinating to me. And I heard something the other day, and I thought this was a pretty interesting point, and it's very philosophical. So mind the gap here, but
Mm.
the what this person was talking about, and I can't remember who it was. It was probably a podcast or something. But this person was saying our society's kind of infatuation with materialism and science as the arbiter of reality and truth is a basically materialism is seeking out the same thing that religion is just through technology.
Mm.
So whenever you think about religion and the way we like try to like get at the unknown, it's through esoteric knowledge and mysticism and things like this. This person's point was basically that materialism does the same thing. It's just that it achieves it through technology.
Hmm.
And so basically, if you tie these two things together, it's this idea that like through technology we are trying to overcome our lack of knowledge, like ultimate knowledge about the world, about reality, about anything, everything.
Hmm.
Um, and that ultimately they end up being the same. Like we still have unknowns, we still seek the unknown, we still try to scratch at the unknown, but we
Hmm.
just use different elements to do it. And I think they called it, and I think Marshall McLuhan used this terminology. I could be wrong. He was a technology writer,
Hmm.
a theoretical guy, but he called it technique.
Hmm.
So you had like esoteric and you had technique, and so it's this idea that you've heard the phrase "the medium is the message." That was McLuhan.
Hmm.
He was the guy who came up with that phrasing.
Yeah.
And so his idea was it's not about the content, it's about the medium, because even the content is a medium at this point. And so it's I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this element of like the use of the ham radio, a deck technology, as a means to like get at the unknown. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I,
As a resident mathematician.
oh man. Well, I guess what I'm seeing in this is like it's almost it's almost like what 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 Arthur C. Clarke, we already mentioned him today.
Mm-hmm.
His famous quote, which is like any technology that's far enough away
Yeah.
is indistinguishable from
From
magic,
magic.
and we usually think of that as future technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you think of like our cultural memory kind of being this oh interval of time,
Yeah.
um, and kind of moving with like the center being on the line of time, and what we can kind of conceive of as stuff in front of us and what we can kind of remember as some stuff behind us.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually some technology is going to kind of go out of view from even the past,
Yeah.
and I guess there's something kind of magical about that too, in that like I don't remember how to do that. I mean, I guess an example I can kind of come up with too is like um oh, I don't have a good example, but like, well, maybe this works. It's not exactly what I was getting at, but it's an approximation. But computers work on zeros and ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
like no one thinks like that, and no one knows how to turn zeros and ones into you and me
Yeah.
talking over the internet from two different locations thousands of miles away, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but but at one point someone knew how to program a computer in binary and knew how to make these commands, and then we moved on. But I think if I was to see someone doing that, I would think it was kind of magical, like, oh, I didn't,
Yeah.
um and I to maybe get back to your point, maybe that's what's at play here, because again, like you said, the points are the same. Both of these things were reaching towards something else.
Yeah.
And we generally think that they're all pointing in the same direction, But maybe some of these technologies, I mean, we utilize technologies for specific purposes and then we phase them out. And that doesn't mean that's the only thing they can be used for,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we forget about them and they flow out of memory and they become black boxes again.
Mm-hmm.
And things can possess them, you
Yep.
know,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they still exist, those black boxes.
Well, it's brings to mind Marcello Bacci, who was known for spirit radio.
Mm.
So he basically communicated with the dead through a radio. That was what he was known for. He would have seances in a house and have large audience of people in this house, and he would like caress this radio, and voices would proceed from
Mm.
this radio through the static and through the white noise, and it would like these voices would call on the people in the audience. Like apparently there's enough witnesses to this that have written about it in the past that this was a thing that would take place. At this point, like whenever he was doing this research and he was doing these seances, like radios were already on their way out, like, and radios were not used for talking to the dead. It was radios were
Hmm.
used for broadcasting and you know like what preceded TV shows,
Hmm.
the radio shows of old, and so it was always broadcasting. It was always outward, and it wasn't drawing from the ether of the spirit world. And so, in a sense, he's basically doing what you're saying is he's finding new uses for old dead technology, um, which is a weird form of materialism.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
that was definitely a curveball.
yeah,
But
you're welcome. You're welcome. These are the kind of this is the kind of shit I think about on a daily
that's some
basis.
shenanigans. Um, no, that was good. Hey, I think we are closing in very fast on the 2 hour line.
Yep.
Um, I Before we close, I was talking to one of our listeners who happens to also be my sister, which is why I was talking to her, and she made a suggestion about what if we gave some sort of rating of the movies at the end. And
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about that. I think I'm fundamentally against giving too fine of a rating on things.
Well, let's give your sister let's throw your sister a bone
Okay.
and say we will think on it, but it won't. It may not be satisfying in the way that she wants it to be.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Like
Uh,
I think we can come up with something, but I'm not sure it's going to be what she's wanting it to be.
yeah.
So,
All right. I think
but
we should talk about
this
it.
is an ever evolving show. It's going to change.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll take that word of advice and we'll work with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, with that, you know, I think I think that wraps up tonight.
Well, I'll send you a message through burning a burning words on my wooden desk.
Yeah. Can you do that, please? Just
Yeah, I'll do
if I
that.
left anything out of the show and we need to add it into
I'm
the.
gonna write. I'm gonna burn chief into my desk,
Okay.
and hopefully you'll see it.
It will probably show up on my desk, but in your house. So
That's even weirder.
What? Yeah. What happens if my
Is how
desk?
did I get how did I get your desk in my house? That's wild.
All right. With that
No, but
brain
seriously,
brain
we should just
explosion.
stop talking.
Bye.
Bye.